It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. It's Feedback Friday. I made it to Friday. I just about put my head on my keyboard. I made it. I gotta work today, but I'm almost there. It's been that kind of week. Holy shit. But I have your feedback. Thanks for being cool in the comments this week. I'm glad you guys like the more like real life stuff that song and I did. It was an experiment. It seemed to go well. I actually have some comments I'm going to talk about because you guys talked about certain things from the male perspective, and so okay, I could respond to that. So I can't add anything about the male perspective. But yeah. A lot of people privately thanked me for the video on avoidance on Tuesday, so that's really cool. Sorry, it's supposed to rain today, and I'm hoping it'll clean the air. Like, for those of you, because I am in Canada, a lot of people were like, oh my God, are you okay? I am actually in a pocket, because I live on the edge of farm country. There's like trees, woods, marsh, farms. Subdivision that way, subdivision that way. I am not in a subdivision. I live on we're on a well for water. So it is not as bad as in the cities. If I was still living in Markham, I would not be speaking right now. It's bad, but where I am, there is a haze. I am feeling it. I mean, my abs hurt from coughing. That's irritating. But yeah, we'll get through it. We'll all get through it. As one client called it, the doom cloud. I like that. I'm taking it. Okay, let's do the help support this channel and then get into your comments. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Six people are on the wait list for stuff, so 6. I haven't checked the Ko-fi. I will. Song also has a Ko-fi if you want to kick her a few bucks. But yeah, so let's get to the comments. I've made, this was one of these weeks where it's like, okay, I can do a topic on that, and I can do a topic on that, I can do a topic on that. And if you're wondering, some upcoming stuff is going to be, a video on, are you sexist? Because this is coming up a lot. This idea that an accusation means you are, and it doesn't. And one of the reason I did Lady Bits and did women's content back in the day was to give people the actual shit, so that if somebody calls you something, you know whether they have a leg to stand on or not. I want to do a video about empathic men because, oh my God, society is shit to you guys. But I love you guys. So I want to do a video on it because you are my people. I want to do a video on rites of passage, why earning it matters. I might split those topics into 2 things, but they are sort of the same idea, because this has been a rough Pride Month for me. I got, there's that Tori Amos lyric, when I caught a light sneeze. So, boys on my left side, boys on my right side, boys in the middle, and you're not here. But it's like, jerks on my right side, jerks on my left side. Everybody shut the fuck up. Between the what is a woman shit, and I talked to the patrons about how that affected me. It's too personal to air in public because I am open, I am authentic, I am not stupid. I am not going to give people weapons against me. Like, right here. But I am so sick of being called a bad ally when I am part of the fucking group. I am so sick of that. And there's been a lot of discussions about, weaponizing identity, and I don't know how to touch on that, I might just have to clobber it with a hammer. We know this is my instinct. Axe or hammer, boom. And that's how I get in trouble. Do I care? I'm not sure. And then, I feel like I should do something for Pride, but everybody's doing something for Pride. And I mean, I'm a rainbow all year round. My rainbow is just the thing that the chariot with giant goats flies on. But the whole idea of people being afraid to voice opinions, I'm hearing that a lot. It's like we need an unpopular opinions bubble so people can just shut, because I mean, there were so many moments. I'm gonna make a note of that. There were so many moments over the last couple of weeks where people were like, I just have to say something, and like, please don't take it personally. It's like, okay, blah. And it's like, they made sense. And I couldn't believe that we live in an age where that very understandable opinion cannot be, but it's true. You say something on social media and twist it. I've seen it happen to me. I just don't care. I am so post-caring. I have been called every horrible thing. People assume shit about me. And then, yeah. But I understand that I don't want people to have to be as tough as I am. That's the thing. I don't want this world. I want a world where people who are gentle and kind and good aren't devoured by assholes, which I understand is a hilarious image, like mom, nom, 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 asshole, right? But I don't want people to have to be tough. I don't, I talked on the Wednesday's video about how my forward-facing side is my bad side. Because if people can handle that, it's all uphill, right? But I don't want people to have to be Kratos. And the thing is, he doesn't want people to, like, that is a Kratos thing to say, right? Kratos is quite happy that his son is not him. People want other people to be able to be them, not him. Inner Kratos. But let's get to your comments in the spirit of that, because I'll let you do the talking. What in the Manly Monday video, there, a lot of people didn't feel comfortable commenting in public because it was sensitive, and I totally get that. So the one comment I have from that, I always understood that accepting your past as, hey, yes, these usually bad things did happen, and now what are you going to do with it? I usually hear that said in the wider context of you need to admit the truth to start to heal or deal with any past trauma. And yeah, that's true. I mean, you need to admit the truth can be weaponized. And that's why this sort of ties in to the Two Women Talking feedback that I have. Because we asked a question about do men want help? And I actually asked the question. It was solicited information. And I think that the takeaway, and this makes complete sense, like, this is something that's equally true for men and women. It just manifests very differently. The takeaway I got is that people don't want getting help to mean they give up their agency and autonomy. And I'm like, fuck, that's where we're at, isn't it? That it's in Leanna land. It's not help if there are strengths. It's not help if that means you give up your agency and dignity and autonomy. That's not help. That's a weapon of control. And the fact that so many people are operating under that is scary, angering, and I think I can do something about it, at least on a small level. Like here, we can do something about that. And this is the thing that this is one of these things people hate about me, but I like it about myself. And I tell people, I deal with a lot of avoidant clients. I deal with a lot of trauma, obviously, based on my own experience. A lot of people, autistic people, ADHD, people who are very risk sensitive. And I always got painted as a villain because I will have the fight. If you do not hear from me that I have a problem with you, I don't have a problem with you. And I think that's why I work well with people with trust issues and, avoidance and things like that. Because they all know if I have an issue with something they say, I'll tell them. So they don't have to worry. And that's why I don't do nice. I don't want people to have to wonder whether I'm mad at them. If I don't say I'm mad at you, I'm not mad at you. There are so many people that have gotten the Kratos. They know this is true. Like, I know I can be harsh. And I don't mean to be harsh. It's just, to me, it's not harsh. To other people, it comes across as harsh because it's just matter of fact. And there are just times at a few of these conversations that this week with people, it's like, okay, the fundamental problem here is I do not care. I do not care about this person on the periphery of this thing, except that they are the person I'm talking to's friend. They are not here. They are not relevant. I don't want to talk about them. And that is it violates the shit out of girl code. And that's why I like it about myself. And I have had so many people, and they're real hesitant. They're afraid they're going to get in trouble. But so many people over the last couple, like this week especially, because it's Pride, and it's been an especially rocky Pride month, people saying, I am so sick of hearing about gender identity. It's not important to me. I just, people are people. Why can't people be people? Why do we have all these labels? And I 100% agree. I don't, I talked about this more at length with the patrons, but I, really respond badly to people insisting that who I am is based on my reproductive organs because my reproductive organs don't work properly. And the idea that a woman, the state of being a woman, is tied to the promise of reproduction is just, oh, please fuck off. We have so many options. I mean, if that was an option for me, I would likely produce a kid who didn't look a thing like me anyway. So what does it matter? Like, I don't care more about a person because we have DNA in common. It just makes no sense to me. And there are so many foster kids on wait lists. And there is so much technology that allows us alternatives to that. Why are we still doing that to women, to men? And this ties into the responses from men about, one, asking for help, two, the thing about guys who don't have a lot of like furniture. apparently one commenter said that's a flex to other guys. And I can kind of see the logic there. Because it's the whole Spartan thing. And for a lot of people really caught in certain masculine paradigms, Spartans were the epitome of masculinity. As someone whose inner voice is Kratos, not necessarily. I was talking to a few people about Sherlock Holmes in the books and Sherlock Holmes in media, and how I maintain that the truest Sherlock Holmes to the original Conan Doyle books is Johnny Lee Miller's Sherlock Holmes in Elementary. As much as I loved Jeremy Brett with, was it Masterpiece Theater? That was a change in how Holmes was depicted. And the locked room mystery format was not necessarily indicative. They did a few, Conan Doyle, but they were adventure stories. And he'd be like pew pew guns. And because the difference between him and his brother Mycroft is Mycroft would do pure thought. And that's a dig at Kant, which I loved Conan Doyle for. You know, oh, this is clearly it. He never bothered to go out and check his theory. Holmes would go out and check his theory. But they make Holmes this alien. I mean, I noped out of the BBC Sherlock Benedict Cumberbatch shit show. And it was a lot for me to nope out of that because I love Martin Freeman. You guys may notice I have a type. But the minute Sherlock Holmes self-identifies as a high-functioning sociopath, get it right, I'm like, nope, wrong. Because Sherlock Holmes was, if anything, bipolar. Certainly, he actually tricks people leveraging the fact that he had major depressive disorder. He was prone to fits of depression. And to make him a sociopath when his entire thing was, I picture myself as if I am there when people tell them the case, that is a high degree of empathy. And the whole reason he's sort of scared of women is he doesn't understand how they think. Draw the conclusions of that you will. But the whole idea that he needs to empathize, which is why he always enlists the help of women in cases. Like, why would you do this? Because he doesn't understand how women think. That is somebody who does what he does because he has a ton of empathy. That is the opposite of a sociopath. Why the fuck did Stephen Moffat do that? I have no idea. Other than the fact that emotionless men, that fake stoicism, that misunderstanding of Spartan culture is this stupid ideal. And men try, especially sensitive men, they try to step out of that. And they're burned like fire by the world. And women say they want sensitive men, but those women also don't have the emotional maturity to deal with another person's sensitivity because those women lack empathy. They cannot process another person's emotions. And that is one thing I deal with other people's struggles all day. And I feel great at the end of the day. Not because I'm happy people are struggling, because I'm useful. I do not feel overwhelmed by other people's grief, sadness, because I can process it. I'm in touch enough with my emotions that I don't have to run away from somebody else's. And to me, that is strength. It is strength for men. That is strength for women. It is resilience. It is endurance. And so there's nothing more manly for me than a man authentically saying, I am struggling. I was hurt by that. This is hard for me, you know, and I would not take openly asking for help as weakness. That's strength. Which is why I actively stomp guys who, I know the signs at this point. They're clearly hurting. And instead of going, this hurts me, it's angry. Oh no, logic, projection. You're this, you're that. Dude, I didn't say any of that. I will stomp those motherfuckers. Because if I give them my time, there is nothing to reward the brave men with. So if y'all think I'm a bitch because of my social media activity or some of the ways I take on commenters here, reconsider that. That is because I want maximum rewards for the guys brave enough to be honest because of that thing with admitting the truth to get past the past trauma, right? To start to heal. I want to reward men and women who own their shit and are fucking honest and don't take it out on other people and don't hide it in anger. And part of that is because I used to hide shit in anger, inner Kratos, and I was an asshole. And I won't do it anymore. I will not pretend to be okay and then chew out somebody who doesn't deserve it. I will say I'm not okay. Because that's right. Why should I feel weak and vulnerable for that? I know I used to understand why you should feel that way. I don't anymore. I'm past that. And I'm a tough motherfucker. So, but yeah, that seemed to be the thing with men and asking for help. Is that one person said the simpler a solution is for a guy, the better. Because, if a problem can just disappear and it's simple, hey, a guy's happy. Which is why I think the mansplaining thing is something of it's a miscommunication on multiple levels. A guy is not attempting to be condescending. He just doesn't know what he doesn't know about the intricacies of female socialization or woman's socialization. Because, oh dear God, it's not about, it's not about plumbing. It's so isn't. It's in the brain. And every single one of the trans women friends I have is girlier than me. And that is not something a person can fake. And my trans man friends understand how they think way more. It just that you cannot fake that. You cannot perform that. Those natural reactions are there. And so there is guy brain and there is girl brain. And I think it's very important to understand it so that we can have a nuanced discussion about what's going on with guys versus how women are interpreting it in some of these exchanges, vice versa. What's going on when men get caught in that sensitive man trap of woman says wants sensitive man, man is sensitive, man gets punished for it by woman who has a bad reaction. It's just a disconnect. It's just and people get mad when I compare human behaviors to animals, and they can fuck off. I hang around a lot of furries who appreciate these things. But I'm a dog person and a cat person. And so I don't have a dog right now, R.I.P. Loki. But, the funniest thing would be to watch a dog going, arr, let's play, arr, and cats going. Because when a dog is doing one body language, that means let's play, let's do the thing. When a cat does the exact same body language, it's like, I am going to attack you in 3, 2, 1. And so that's what happens to the dog. That's why dogs and cats living together are mass hysteria. And every time it happens, it's like, this is a metaphor. This is what happens when, and language is not precise. And anybody who thinks language is more precise than it is going to be an ineffective communicator. And yet people triple, quadruple, quintuple down on, I was very clear. I deal with people for a living. I say I'm Lee 3PO human fanboy relations. There is nothing mathematic about language. That was what Lewis Carroll was trying to do with the Jabberwocky poem. That is mathematical language. That is algebraic poetry. The way most people talk, though, is not. And I say this as somebody who is a very precise speaker because I have to be. Because my reactions are so atypical. My only defense is, what did I actually say? What were the words I used? Please deal with the words I used, not what you thought I meant by them, because I guarantee you what you thought I meant by them is wrong because my brain is not normal, you know? And so I get a front row seat all the time to the imprecision of language. And one of the things a commenter talked about with that is, I love this line. And this is something, there's a topic coming up on Two Women Talking. Song really wants in on the toxic fandoms thing. She says she has a lot to add. And I think that, that's one of those ones that I can do a video on it and then we can do Two Women Talking, because obviously that wasn't exhausted and she has experience with different fandoms than I do because I'm in all the male dominated fandoms. I get into girl world. I'm like, But one of the things a commenter talked about is the lowering of the bar for what constitutes a red flag. And I do think that this is somewhere we can improve communication, because it's not just what the red flag is that is informative. It's why it's a red flag, because you have to remember women are programmed. This is why the perspectives of trans people are so important, because they have the experience of innately being one half of society, but they receive the training of the other half of society. And so they see firsthand how the transition is not internal. The transition is in terms of the coding, learning that people are not responding to you in the same way anymore. And that's what's so hard, because the minute you start feeling like your authentic self more, people's reactions to you become weird. Like, there's a lot of miscommunications. And I have noticed it is, it's difficult going from male to female and female to male, or man to man socialization to woman socialization to man socialization, right? Like, I'm tired. But yeah, that one of the things about most trans people, all of the trans people I work with, all of the trans people I know, that is so different from the activism that goes on online that lend cisgender people to be very scared of asking questions, which is a tragedy that we can do something about. But, most trans people really do not want to call attention to themselves because they're still figuring it out. Things are really scary. Everything's in a state of flux and they just want to live their lives. And that's why when you see the trans people who seek out cameras, that is not typical. Dylan Mulvaney, Caitlyn Jenner, any of those people who seek out the media, even someone like Nicole Maines, but Nicole Maines is an actress. That's a little different. But this is not typical of the population. These are not, these are extroverted people. I know some actors who are introverts. They're brilliant, but they suffer. I'm one of them. And those people, that's why I single out Nicole Maines, because when you're focused on craft, it's about storytelling. It's about getting it right. It's not about calling attention to yourself. And there's nothing wrong with wanting attention. I'm just saying that the people who actively put themselves out there is a minority of the population. And so everybody else shouldn't be judged by that standard. So the reactions you get online are not necessarily indicative of general culture. And too much expectation is filtered through online socialization. And let me tell you, as someone who talks to groups, who talks to big groups of people, who lectures at colleges, who does one-on-one sessions with people, who does team stuff, workshops, and then is online, social media is not life. I know that 90% of these motherfuckers who come at me on Twitter would not have the balls in real life. And part of the reason I know that is the minute I give them 25% of what they're giving me, that was an attack. That was very rude. That was personal. Like, dude, you dished it out. They wouldn't have the guts to say it to me in public. They wouldn't have the guts to say it to my face. And that's what I love about the comment section of this channel, and why I would rather take less traffic and have more quality comments than have a shit show. Because you guys, you post regularly. I don't necessarily know your real names, but you have a reputation via that screen name. And so you say it to my face. And again, I want to reward that. And part of rewarding good behavior means stomping motherfuckers who behave badly. And that is the guide to Leanna. So hopefully you found this interesting. I'm really glad the content lately is speaking to so many people. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Inside information if you become a patron. Or buy a Leanna Care session for someone who can't afford it. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.